Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the third episode for the Walking Dead Season 8 Monster. In this one first, we're going to give our thoughts on what do we think these survivors are going to do with this captured group of saviors. And spoiler warning, as per usual, if you guys are not caught up for Walking Dead, which is up to Season 8, Episode 2. So still enjoying this season quite a bit. Got lots of other stuff going on. Been making some Stranger Things videos and some videos for the Walking Dead comic book series this week. But still, of course, tonight is the third episode for the Walking Dead Season 8, which, you know, will always be, of course, the focus for this channel, the primary focus for what we do here. So this question kind of came in, and I wanted to kind of go through the last few bunch of questions that I got from you guys this week that I was able to record for Q&A before tonight's episode, before they no longer, you know, make sense because the story will progress by one episode. B-Wolf20 says, Q&A Trev, what do you think will be done with the prisoners Jesus and company took? So we're going to have to see what they're going to do with this group of saviors. I see it like a few ways. You have a few different options for what you can do with them as these survivors. But we do see a couple scenes in the sneak peek where you have some walkers that are kind of rolling down or going towards them. And I think we are to assume that, you know, maybe a couple of them will get it. But for the most part, I'm thinking these survivors will be able to deal with the group of zombies that's coming towards them. You know, shoot them down, that kind of thing. With the rest of them, so you've got a couple options with regards to what you're going to do with prisoners or captured saviors in this all-out war. Number one, I suppose you could kill them all, which is what Morgan seems to want to do, and maybe Rick would want to do. I'm not sure. That's kind of tricky because they did surrender, and you know, you can see from Jesus' perspective, it certainly does make sense if they allow them the opportunity to surrender. I mean, if someone puts their guns down, hands in the air, and just gives up, of course, they're under Negan, and you know, they may not all 100% want to fight for Negan. They may, you know, see what these survivors are trying to do, and maybe they don't want to, you know, risk their lives for Negan. They're more under Negan, and they kind of have to do what they have to do because they don't want to get their brains bashed in, which, of course, makes sense, I think. And yeah, not all the saviors are evil, I would say, for sure. So, you know, I guess I am kind of with Jesus in this one on allowing them to surrender, you know, giving them that option, which they have, but it's a bit tricky to go about because they may try to escape, they may try to get your gun away from you, they may try to wait for their opportunity to do something and then go for it. I like the idea where they have them kind of all, you know, stringed together or wrapped together and then are kind of bringing them down, kind of like a prisoner camp or something, which is kind of cool. You know, so you can go the route of annihilation, I suppose, but it's kind of a dark route for sure, especially for a group of heroes in our series. You could go the route of maybe, you know, encampment. So you just keep them, you put them somewhere, you put a few people, but that one uses up quite a bit of resources because then you have to feed them all, you have to take care of them all, you have to make sure they don't escape, and so it's just difficult to manage, especially when Negan's group originally at the beginning of this season had the numbers. You know, as Negan points out, he's got the numbers. Rick and the others, they don't have as many men or as many fighters as the saviors do. So can you really, you know, take several people and have them watch, you know, set up an encampment and keep these people, these captured saviors, all kind of down at the hilltop or something? You know, it's kind of tricky to do. So I don't think that's a great option either. Another option might be you give some of them the opportunity to fight back against Negan. So you have something like, you know, I don't know, a French Foreign Legion or something like that, where you have a group of people from, you know, different places. You take them, and then you basically give them the option that they can either, you know, be in camp, they can either be a prisoner, or they can have the opportunity to fight back against Negan, and then you basically promise them that after Negan is defeated, that they can have their freedom back. So you give them the option of, you know, fight alongside you, you know, maybe give them a little bit of trust. Some of them, you know, of course, the guy with the long hair who killed Ben, you're not going to trust him. You know, Morgan's not going to give him any chances. Maybe a guy like that you kill, but then maybe for the rest, you give them the opportunity to fight back against Negan, who was oppressing them. It's tricky, though, because if they kind of swap on you, or they think that Negan is getting the upper hand, they may turn back on you, right? So it's kind of tricky. You would need someone who's equally as scary as Negan to lead that charge. So maybe you could have somebody like Morgan make an example out of the guy with the long hair, and then have him force the others to kind of help him and lead them into battle against the saviors to try to win their freedom back, and then ensure them that afterwards they'll be treated like people. The only thing is it's tricky, and of course some of them, there's probably some good people in there. They're not all evil, but they've probably all had to do some things throughout the zombie apocalypse to survive. They've all been part of the saviors hierarchy, and it's tricky either way you go. So annihilation, encampment, or that. I mean, I guess you could set them all free and just tell them to get lost, but I don't think that makes sense either, right? So a lot of them would want, kind of like Dwight, who comes back to Negan because he wants that safety, where they are not going to have that in the wild, in the world. So which option would I go with? You might want to try, actually, there's such a big group of them, you may want to actually try to talk them into it. I think Rick might be one that could kind of talk them into fighting back against Negan and the others, having this opportunity, maybe show them the Polaroid of the sanctuary and show them that we're going to finish the job, you're going to help us do it, and then you guys can be your own group afterwards, and set up some kind of democracy or something, so you don't have a tyrant like Negan or anybody else. You can have like one person from each group, Rick, maybe one representative of the Saviors, one Maggie from the Hilltop, or somebody in Kingdom. Have them all come together and to make decisions as a democracy or something like that, or you vote for one leader overall every few years, something like that. So like a council, like they did at the prison or something. So there's some different options for sure. We'll have to see what they do in the TV series. For a prediction, I think mainly they'll probably escape, but Rick and the others could certainly use the numbers if they can somehow either force them to or talk them into fighting for them instead. It's a bit of a risky choice because you got to watch your back for sure. You may want to keep them at the front of the battles, right? Negan the Awesome Psychopath says, "Hey Trev, who do you think will die in episode 3? Also, was she just kind of annoying? You last episode where Morgan didn't kill that a-hole long-haired home alone looking savior who killed Benjamin last season. So yeah, definitely Morgan did want to kill him there. I think he was probably looking forward to that and he wanted to do that. And it was just a situation where everybody was watching. Jesus was telling him not to, and they didn't want the other saviors to freak out and all run or something if he was to shoot him when they weren't really supposed to because they were all surrendering. So that was kind of a bit of a tricky situation. But who do I think will die in episode 3? Well, we're gonna have to see. I mean, I generally don't do death predictions videos for just like a regular episode, so we'll see. Mid-season finale, but not really for just regular episodes. MD Matt Dio says, "Okay, what's next? Are we gonna see Walker Jim in the Sanctuary herd?" And I've seen some people even bring up the Vatos from season 1. The Vatos are all dead. They showed that in a deleted scene. There was a deleted scene for season 2 where they went back and I suppose you could say, well, deleted scenes are not canon, Trev. They were it was kind of canon because they were trying to do it. The problem actually was that the footage for season 2 was so bad that Frank Darabont crushed it because he said that it's no good. We can't use this. It's crap. We need to reshoot all this, and they went with What Lies Ahead on the road instead. So we already kind of know the fate of the Vatos, and there's not many characters from early seasons that we'll probably ever see again. Morales is kind of a one-off. I think fan demand is the only reason why they brought him back. Other than that, I can't see any other reason. Characters like Jim and that, I really doubt we would see any of those survivors in a zombie herd or something like that from such prior seasons before. It just, the odds of seeing that are, almost non-existent. Maybe as an Easter egg, but I would say probably don't bet on any of the other ones coming back from earlier, except for maybe like Heath. Eventually Heath will come back probably, right? Because his show got canceled. Well, it's not his show, but 24, a show he was starring in, Legacy or what have you. Dylan says, "Hey, Trav, do you think The Walking Dead could do a better job of humanizing the saviors? They have done pretty well with Dwight, but I feel like more of them could be shown to be more dynamic, real-life types of people. Your thoughts?" Thanks, bro. So I did like to see Gracie, the one guy's baby daughter, in the episode. I think that did humanize the saviors a lot, which is to kind of show that these are real people. They do have, some of them do have, kids or maybe wives back at the sanctuary or things like this, workers doing jobs. They're not all bad people for sure. And they did that a bit with Dwight, and you're right, they've done pretty well with that, but I don't think they could have really done it much more. than they already have, because people in season 7 were starting to get tired of it already. So if you were going to extend and try to put more scenes in of them humanizing the saviors, people would have complained even more, and it would have been really bad. But I think that they've done a really good job, I think, so far of that, because you do get a sense that the saviors are under Negan. A lot of them are bad guys. Most of them are bad guys, but there's a few people in there that maybe are not so bad and are just caught up in this in this web that Negan has spun, and there's not much that they can do about it. They're really kind of stuck there. Hey, Trev, Q&A, who do you think will die first, Simon or Jadis? And I think I answered this question before in the springtime when we were doing videos. But right now, we haven't even seen Jadis for a little while. But I do think Simon... So I think I did say in my Death Predictions video that I think both of them... I'm going off memory here because I filmed that, 6 months ago now or 5 months ago or what have you. That they probably both would die, at some point this season or pretty soon anyway. For Simon, maybe not being a long-term... But he's funny, though. And Stephen O, he's certainly active with social media and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. So that's neat. If I had to choose between the two, I think maybe... Yeah, it's tough to say because Simon might die as part of All Out War. Jadis, we haven't even seen her yet, but I'm assuming she will come back. But it's just a bit tricky. But they're both kind of filler characters. They're not in the comics either one. But I like Simon a lot more than Jadis. So who would be killed off first? I'd like to, maybe, I guess what I'm saying is I prefer to see Jadis be killed off first, but it may not go that way because they've kind of taken a back seat so far to what's going on in All That War right now. They're kind of forgotten about. The Junkyard group is they're kind of a interesting group. They kind of pop up in season 7 when you don't really expect it. They do things you don't expect in the finale, and then now it's like they're not even here, right? So it's here's not here. It's kind of crazy. Med1965 says, hey, Trev, question is, we hear a lot about the Walking Dead TV ratings for the TV series. I was curious how the sales were going for the comic book series. The TV series relies on the comic book series being successful to follow it up. What would happen if the comic book series started to falter? Keep up the great work. Well, we may have seen that this week. I won't get into any spoilers, but I've done some videos on it this week for people that are caught up for Walking Dead comics. There's some story arcs that, a lot of people are a bit disappointed about, or they felt like there could have been more done with them. And again, I don't want to wreck anything for anybody who's not caught up. A lot of you guys are not caught up for comics. I know that, so it's no problem. But the sales for the comics, I did look at them, before doing this video for you, Med, and they're pretty stable for the most part. Usually they're at like 80,000. Last year, a lot of times they were at like 90-something thousand. When the Walking Dead TV series is on, they tend to go up a bit, so there's like that. Like recently, it's been around, I think, 83,000 an issue, so doing plenty well enough, for a few-man operation. Yeah, it's doing fine. But it hasn't really... It maybe gone down a little bit this year, but it hasn't really gone down that much. It's just that we haven't had the last few months of ratings in for the comics, or sales results in for the comics. After the Princess issue, I would think they'd probably dip a little bit, because that issue a lot of people did not like, and even this recent issue too, 173, a lot of people didn't like either. So we'll see for the future, but I think it's pretty much a lock that they don't have to worry about that. You're right that if the comics was to fail, the TV series might have some trouble, but I don't think the comics will ever really fail. I mean, if you look at what The Walking Dead in comics has done over 173 issues, there's almost nothing in comics like that. The Batman stuff is top 10 a lot of the time for sales, but Marvel stuff is... Can I say Marvel's a wreck? Marvel has been a wreck for years right now. They keep making, all the heroes female. They're like turning Thor female. All these different characters into female versions, female Wolverine, which I don't have a problem with. I'm not going to be sexist and say that that's the only problem with it. It just feels like they're just, appealing to SJW so much. It's like... people don't really want to see that. Maybe, I don't know if it has something to do with Disney buying Marvel out the last few years. I don't know, or Marvel just becoming so poppy, that I don't know. But, the Walking Dead comics are doing fine, although there's a lot of people complaining for the last couple months. In terms of sales, anyway, we haven't seen a hit yet for those. It seems to be doing fine. Walter White says, bringing Morales back is the biggest fan service moment ever. And I think I might have to agree with you, Walter. I mean, it really does feel like that. It's really fun, though, that they decide to do that. I like it a lot. Yes, you want The Walking Dead to be realistic as well, too. But at the same time, it was just such a fun thing for them to do. It doesn't, a lot of people saying, oh, this sucks, it hurts the series, blah, blah, blah. I don't think so. I've seen this in comments quite a bit. I don't think it really hurts the series, guys. It's a fun thing for them to do for All Out War. You're bringing something back in from the very first season. Fans wanted to see what his fate was and see him return, and they finally bring him back at this time is really cool, even just if it's for the fans. It's awesome. So I'm really happy that Morales is back, and it's great that they did it. And yes, it is I think it is a fan service moment. But hey, that's cool. We can have a few of those here and there too. It doesn't have to all be, you can have a super zombie at the junkyard or what have you that's got, spikes everywhere and really exciting. It's just cool to put in stuff like that. The show's been on a long time. You have to mix it up sometimes, and you have to do some fun stuff here and there for sure. Jonathan Shreve says, Trev, I think the baby might belong to the savior that Rick killed. Yeah, because there's the tattoo that says grace by God. And it does definitely make you feel for the guy, because Rick, kills this guy brutally and then just goes in and sees it. So really the guy was defending his baby, right? So that's why he was fighting so viciously against Rick, fighting tooth and nail to defend his baby against him. And it's just interesting with Walking Dead, they put Rick in that situation, which is opposite to what you would expect to see from a hero, for sure, right? Heath will be Morales 2.0, says Trust Jan Rules. I don't think so, man. People with Heath, a lot of people don't seem to care. For some reason, because Morales, I think because he left in the first season, so he was one of those first characters at the very beginning, and people always wondered. It was different to see him come back than to see, Heath come back. When Heath comes back, people will be like, oh, okay, cool. But I don't think that they're going to care as much as people did, because, if you look at The Walking Dead, a lot of people start, if they Netflix binge it or they watch it on AMC in one of the marathons, they start off in the first season, they watch it through. So pretty much everybody has seen Morales. A lot of people for Heath, what I've seen in comments, a lot of people just don't care. Then we'll go with Gandex says, Q&A, Trev, do you think Morales and Rick's path are good and evil story? Both are good at the start, but Morales' path takes him to become a savior. And I guess we'll wrap it up with this one here so that we don't make the video too long. But for Gandex, so of course they do part ways at that time. I wouldn't say necessarily that Rick is able to keep his hands clean and be a good guy 100% either. He did just kill a guy who was defending his baby. So, Rick has had to do some things. He has not had the ability to have the moral high ground and keep his hands clean. He's had to get into the dirty in order to get through. He's had to kill fathers. He's had to do things that sometimes, of course, he wouldn't want to do. So you can't really say, I don't think 100% that Rick is really a good guy anymore either. And there's even a line in the series, right, where he says as much, right, earlier on, season 2 or what have you, something like that. I mean, one of the ones that comes to mind is in season 5 when he runs over Bob and kills him. It's brutal, right? So I don't think you can say 100% Rick is just simply a good guy. And at the same time, Rick and the others have been under Negan, so it's a little bit tricky. He is the one attacking the group. He just killed a guy who had a baby. Morales might have known that guy. So I don't think you can say 100% that Morales is just evil. He's on the savior side. He's on the bad guy side, so to speak, or the antagonist side. But it's not so black and white, I don't think, to say that. He may have killed less people than Rick has, right? So it's a bit tricky, right, to just say that. But in terms of them, going down the different routes here for Rick to become where he's at right now, and to Morales to kind of become a savior, we just don't know a lot of those steps from season 1 to season 8, how that went and how he ended up being a savior at some point throughout. We probably will never know, to be honest, unless he tells Rick, which would kind of be cool in tonight's episode. So I'm hoping that's what it is. So anyway, that'll be it for the final, Q&A for this week, guys, leading up to episode 3. Enjoy the hell of the episode tonight, guys. I hope you've been liking all the videos this week. I'll keep pumping them out like crazy for you, of course, until, obviously this season goes on break. But even then, we do some videos during the break, that kind of stuff. Maybe not every day, but, 5 or 6 days a week, that type of deal. Plus, I'm behind on Z Nation and behind on other stuff because of Stranger Things, so I'm looking to get caught up. And Punisher's hitting soon, so there's lots of stuff, and I want to do reviews for that. So lots of stuff coming up. Not enough hours in the day. Anyway, I'll see you guys back again tonight. Check out the videos this week if you missed any of them, and if you like this video, please thumb it up below. Check out these videos here in the end screen videos. And yeah, that's it for this one, guys. See you back tonight. It's Trev, and I'm saying peace.